I was elected as a local ward councillor in London Borough of Lambeth, representing Brixton Hill ward, and I got elected in 2006 as a bright young 25-year-old, so one of the youngest people on the council. And as a lifelong Brixton resident, for me, the opportunity to serve the residents in the area that I know so well was just, too good an opportunity to take up. And
you sit on the Assembly, still representing those people.
I do.
Let's just talk about the panels that you work on, transport and policing. And let's start with the tube strike, which thankfully isn't happening.
Yes.
Called off last Friday. How much of a relief will this be for the Mayor, given his zero stance when it comes to public transport walkouts?
I think the Mayor's been very clear in terms of, when you have a strike, it's a failure. It's a sign of failure. So I think it's really good that, the unions have engaged with Transport for London in terms of discussing that. And a big relief for Londoners because the amount of people that use the tube on a daily basis is increasing. We're talking about millions. And essentially, we saw what happened with the tube strike earlier this year, just as people were coming back from Christmas. So I think it's really good that the unions are in discussion with Transport for London. They've accepted that new offer. And it's about making sure that, we keep London moving.
What do you make of the Conservative Assembly member Keith Prince's comments last week? He suggested Mr Khan had given in to the unions by bringing in more staff, that he'd rolled over. Do you think that's fair?
I disagree with that because, essentially, it is important we get London moving in terms of the tubes, working well. But equally, safety is a really important aspect. And by increasing this additional staff, the Mayor can see that actually it's about, some of the concerns the unions have been putting forward in terms of increasing that visible presence on our tubes. Yes, the ticket office have been closed, but it's about making sure there's increased staff to help with some of those issues coming up from public. So I don't feel that it's the Mayor giving in. It's about the Mayor actually listening and the Mayor working not just with the unions, but in the best interest of Londoners.
That said, there is a financial aspect to this, and the Mayor promised to try and cut the fat from TfL, and Travel Watch, the independent review into ticket office closures, didn't suggest that more staff needed to be brought in. That wasn't one of its recommendations. Can you therefore understand why the likes of Keith Prince are suggesting the Mayor has given in?
I wouldn't say that, it's the Mayor giving in, but one of the things that I've received as a member of the Transport Committee was some of those concerns that the unions had been expressing and the staff. These are ordinary Londoners that work in our tube stations as well. They use the tube on a daily basis, the TfL staff. A number of them doing some, difficult shifts, long shifts. We've now seen the introduction of the night tube, which is fantastic. So it's about making sure we've got a staff that's fit for purpose to serve the millions of Londoners that use the tube.
And no doubt Londoners very relieved this morning that we all could get from A to B. Let's just, if we may, touch on air pollution as well, an issue which comes up constantly at the moment. And we've had some very bad days recently where it's been very high. What do you make of the idea of a school in Lambeth, your area, that's potentially going to give students masks to wear? Is that a step too far?
I wouldn't say it's a step too far, but equally it's about looking at the fact that air pollution is such a big issue. And again, I'm pleased to see that from May, with this new administration, we're now seeing more of a focus on air quality. Just earlier this year, on Brixton High Road in my constituency, the air quality for the whole year was breached. That's a really big problem. I think about air quality a lot more now. I'm always out on Brixton Road with my little 2-year-old daughter in the pram, thinking about the air she's breathing in and I'm breathing in, and all Londoners. Air quality affects all of us, regardless of your race, your background, your income. And it's right that we are seeing it more higher on the political agenda. In terms of the school, my understanding is that it's Archbishop Sumner School, which again is off a really busy road, Kennington Road. So lots of, really served by lots of good buses going into town, into Westminster. A number of cars use that route. It's the board of the congestion charge in Lambeth as well. So, I'd be keen to touch base with the school to find out a bit more about what their concerns are and why they feel that they need to take this. But I think it's about some of the measures that we're seeing from City Hall in terms of new buses with lower emissions, getting some of those really high polluting cars off the road. So we're talking about, the impact of diesel cars. There's the consultation on the ultra-low emissions surcharge and the emission surcharge. I think all those things are going to make a big difference to air quality for children like the ones at Archbishop Sumner.
So a lot of work going on, certainly on the Transport Committee. Let's move to the Police and Crime Committee, another panel which you sit on. And last week, Commissioner Bernard Hogan-Howe, the outgoing head of the Met, suggested that his successor would struggle really in terms of cuts. His issue was that the person who takes over that role will see a drop in police numbers. Do you think that will be a reality?
I think reality for the Met Police, like all public bodies, is that there are still major financial pressures, you know, whether it's local government, whether it's, you know, charity groups, volunteer groups, TfL, Met Police, London Fire Authority, all of them are facing big budgetary pressures. I think what we want to see, there's a consultation out at the moment on the document called the Police and Crime Plan, which sits with the Mayor and the Met Police and the Mayor's Office for Police and Crime. So there is that commitment to continue to keep the level of police numbers across London. And just in my constituency of Lambeth and Southwark, where policing is such a big issue, again, the amount of, you know, really serious fatalities that have happened, involving a very small minority of young people. You know, the majority of young people in Lambeth and Southwark engage in positive activities, but we've got a serious issue with violent youth crime. So it's about making sure we continue to have the right levels of police officers across London to help keep the public safe.
We are running out of time very quickly. You say there's a commitment to maintain those levels, but the Mayor has admitted that he hasn't given the commitment to make it 32,000, which is what he said he would do. So that not all the commitment there.
The commitment is there. There's a funding gap caused by the direct cut from the Home Office in terms of the budget to the Met Police, so that's why the Mayor can't commit to that 32,000. But, you know, it's a case of we're lobbying the Home Office very hard, cross-party support. All Assembly members on the Police and Crime Committee agree that, you know, we need to do a lot more to get that money reinstated. And it's a case of looking at other ways where, you know, we can make savings in the Met Police to make sure we continue to keep up those police numbers.
And very quickly, personally for you, you know, you said a 25-year-old young councillor, now a member of a City Hall, where do you see yourself going in future? Do you have aspirations to perhaps become an MP eventually? My
aspirations is to get more people like me involved in politics, because the reality was when I stood for Lambeth Council, a council of 63 councillors, there were only 4 BME councillors and only 1 BME woman. On the Assembly, out of 25 of us Assembly members London-wide, there are only 3 BME women and 2 BME men and 2 Asian men out of 25. So it's about, for me, making sure that, you know, I create those opportunities. I always mentor young people. I always offer work experience. Get them more involved in politics, because a number of people say politics isn't for me, it's not about me, but I want people like me to get involved in the decision-making process.